Peace and love, soul family. It's Savvy here with the Savvy Soul Confirmation. It is July 14th, 2026. I'm located in Belize and it is 11:31 right now. Okay? And I'm just tuning into this new moon energy for the collective. I first want to ask that our gods, goddesses, and ascending masters, all that are here for our highest good, become present. I ask that all messages be channeled with clarity. I ask for discernment. I ask for protection. We're grateful and thankful for this time, for this space, for this presence, for this essence, for all that this message resonates for. I'm grateful. I'm thankful to be able to be a vessel, to be a channel, to be a medium for you here today. Anything that doesn't resonate, let it fly, let it go. Ashe. The first thing that Spirit was bringing to my attention is just remembering where we came from in the sense of 2025. That was the year of 9. That was the end. That's where a lot of conclusions, things were under completion, right? Things that were under construction, they could have entered a new phase, a new stage, right? Like a new beginning. Whereas some things could have ended, completed, finished, where you kind of like close the business, close that book, right? In that chapter. It's just remembering, like, wow, right? And then as I was looking at 2025 alone and just remembering the energy of just, the ending, but the ending being such a beginning. And for somebody like me, I'm from Altadena, California, where a huge fire took place and swept through and literally destroyed our hometown, right? And so something like that is an ending where home will never truly be the same. There's an essence, there's an aura, there's an energy that has been shifted, and we all have to learn how to deal with it because our past, our memories, and things like it's truly in the past. We can't get it back. We can only embrace what is and what's becoming and what's left of, things of that. But it's a shift, right? And we can't ignore it. It came in so fast, and I say this to say because it really hit home, right? It really hit home. And with the new moon being in Cancer, Cancer is all about the home. So how things hit home, right? And home is where the heart is. So it's really like how it hits home doesn't have to just be the physical location. As this example, it can be the physical things that make you feel, right? Because where you feel is where you care. This is where your emotion lies. This is where your passion lies. This is where like the energy, your all of your energy really comes from what you're feeling, how you're feeling. It really pushes you and possesses you to move in a certain way. It dictates, and they say don't let your feelings rule you or consume you. At the same time, you can't be so out of touch with your feelings that you don't listen to them, that you're not intuitive, you're not connected, you don't understand yourself and how the things move through you, channel through you, right? So having a balance with this. And as I was kind of just taking in that space, just the year of 2025, the 9, but then really embracing the real 7-year cycle that's taken place and what we went through as a collective, from COVID to all the many different world changes, all the integrations and things that are taking place that just totally shift the world and how living and how being and how working and all these things are done. How, life is like there's been so many transform, or it has transformed. It just is not the same. The world is not the same. So seeing all that we've been through within the 7-year cycle leading up into the year 2025 of the ending, and now being in 2026, the year of the one, the beginning, and seeing ourselves set on this new stage in this new world and this new energy, right? And it can be really difficult because leaving things behind, having to disconnect or disattach, whether you wanted to or not, because like in that example, people lost their homes. They didn't want to, they weren't ready to, but they have to go through this process. It was in something that was by force and not by choice. But there are things that others have went through that were by choice, like whether it been the ending of relationships, whether it was an ending of a business, whether it was an ending of how you naturally move and operate, how you dictate yourself, things of that nature, or maybe even something that you're doing, the ending of an era for you in whatever way that is, right? Spirit though is really looking at it from a collective basis, and as we look at the collective, we can see ourselves as individuals because you as an individual add to the collective. So seeing how you add, seeing your contribution, seeing how, right? And this is why I say it can be really difficult because we're attached to certain things, and this is now a point where it's not just that it ended, it's like I can't get it back. I can't, it's not gonna go back to how it is. So the only thing you can do is accept, the only thing you can do is move forward, the only thing you can do is be in the new you now. And the only thing you can do is embody the newness that you're in, to create and to establish and to grow and to learn. It's just so much to do in this new, on this new stage, in this new setting, in this new platform. So this is like just the sum of the entry that Spirit is bringing to my attention. We're going to get ready to start dealing some cards and seeing what reflects. So just go ahead and take some deep breaths with me as we see what comes out. I do see the moon card here, right? So there could be things that are unknown, kind of hidden, right? Mysterious, the feelings and the emotions that we're talking about. And I feel like those things aren't hidden. Like, you know things now that you never knew before, that you didn't know back then, but you know now. And because you know now, it allows you to create and move forward and do. And I remember talking to somebody recently and saying how, as I went through transition and things ended and new things began, there was a point in time where if I turned back around because I doubted, or I turned back around because I missed, or I turned back around for whatever reason, when I turned back around, there could be the door was still there, right? Which means that that's still an opportunity for me to turn back around and maybe reach that handle and see whether the handle turns, whether it's locked, whether I still have access and how I have access, or whether I stay focused and continue to move forward, right? But in this transition and transformation, as I continued to grow, there was a moment in time where I then looked back and the door was completely gone. All the opportunity that I once had to go back and to do what I once did, or to maybe test it one more time, or have another conversation, or try again, like the door was not there. It was like turning back, and I was like, oh, right? And it took me by surprise that I no longer had the access that I once had. So that meant that I didn't have a choice now. I have to move forward. I have to accept. I have to be in my new world, and I have to do this now, right? And so this is where we're at as a collective, right? And this really speaks to the dimensions. And I use the word, like, as we went through, I mentioned COVID, but that's one thing. And it's not a small thing, it's a huge thing. But it's really like the biggest thing is the integration that's occurred throughout this, I want to say 7-year cycle, the integration that's occurred that's really shifted and transformed the way things are moving and how things are going, moving into the future, right? The futuristic elements and how the future has become the present. Things that were, quote unquote, the idea like 21st century, it's like, I know my godmother says the Jetsons, right? But we're living the Jetsons now type of thing. Those type of dimension changes, right? And you can't go back. We can't descend. We can't, sometimes it's like I want to go back to the 2000s. I want to go back to like when I was in a certain time frame or space, but I can't go back. The only thing I can do is live in the memories, but the memories is a cloud. In the cloud is where it is, this is where the buildup is, right? The storage and you got to check to see if there's even space in there, right? If there's no space, then you either have to buy more or you have to get rid of, but it's cluttered, and it has to be something that has to be like cleared. You have to be willing to not let the memories hold you or consume you, right? Because it's time for you to make new ones, and it's really hard to make new ones when the storage is full, right? So this card also says a connector of divinity, mundane, a risk taker, conventional and traditional. It says commitment, a magi. It says shares knowledge, entrepreneurial spirit, being sacred service, being a boss, a master of ceremonies. It speaks to the chosen one. Okay. And with that came the air element. So this could really hit for maybe an Aquarius, a Libra, a Gemini, the air. This could also, if it's not, well, not if it's not, but as it relates to the air elements, also just looking at the air element within us all, that relates to spirit, that relates to the thoughts, right? That relates to our mind. So this is coming from a really mental level. This could come from, when I say thinking, like analytical, right? This could also be coming from a masculine energy. Yeah, I want to focus too on sharing, right? Because this is really like, remember how I said it's the individual, you as an individual adds to the collective, like it's bigger than you. This is really, when I'm talking to the collective today, this new moon Cancer is really speaking to the collective. It's really speaking to, like, if I'm looking at the air, if I'm looking at the spirit, right? Air, the element. It comes in particles, right? The air has particles like oxygen, like hydrogen, right? And those, each particle comes together as a collective, like condensation, like a cloud, right? It all comes together, and it manifests, materializes, where you can actually, it can formulate the cloud. It formulates like through the water, through each particle, right? Through each drop. It don't, like teardrops, right? If I were to have teardrops, but if I capture the teardrops, I'm gonna have a puddle, maybe, right? Depending on how much, a pond of, like, I can capture that source, that liquid, right? Liquid, okay. I get the energy of liquefaction, to liquefy, right? So there could be, and that could be even like your assets, your valuables, something like you take something worth of value and you go and exchange it for currency or something of worth and values, right? Oil or maybe some type of food, whatever. You're liquefying, liquidating, okay? This card also speaks to intellectual stimulation, relationships and agreements, decisions, innovations, diversity. It's letting you know to work with the air element, work with the spirit, right? Work with the spirit. And there's different ways to work with the air element. I often like to go outside and listen to the wind, like truly listen to the wind, listen to the sounds, because in the sounds, through sound, vibration, tones, and frequencies, that's a channel. So there's signals, there's responses, communicators moving through, but you have to tune into the channel. You have to be able to move through those volumes, those spaces, right? And this is really like scientific. This is why I even say the air element, because it's very scientific. It takes a very scientific mind, one that is analytical, one that truly breaks down and understands and overstands, and right? It gets pretty deep when you get into this. This is why I also say it can be difficult, because is making sense of everything, right? And this is how a lot of times, like for me personally, I really just have to learn how to trust the process, because sometimes it gets so deep that you find yourself going into a rabbit hole and you're trying to find all the answers, but the answer is you. The answer is being. And so being is embodying, and when you're embodying, it's in a state. You're in it, right? And so you're learning how to be in it, not too far in the future and not in the past, not in the memories, not in the cloud, but being in it, right? which it just goes back to that particle, right? And you being an individual within the collective that adds to the cloud, that makes it what it is, that makes it materialize, that makes it manifest, that makes it, like where I can take something from the mind, from the mental, from the spirit, from the unseen, and bring it into the physical, and bring it into the actual, like, and factual. Not only actual, but also the factual, right? This is a very strong energy here. Um, I use the word analytical, so I do feel the energy of Virgo as well. Although I mentioned the air signs, I do feel the earth element of Virgo, just being very analytical in the detail, and the detail oriented, the mind, the kind of like the structure that it takes. I have selenite coming up here. If you do work with crystals, selenite, that's something that actually, it doesn't have to be cleared. It just does the work, right? It's a stone that I actually love because, again, it doesn't have to. You don't have to clear it. You don't have to do anything except allow it to be what it is, which, again, speaks to the embodiment, to really activate. This is a very activating time. You could be feeling very stimulated at this time. For some of you, overstimulated. This could be, again, why it can be a little difficult and challenging, because moving forward and having to, like, I'm getting ready to turn 33. My birthday is July 20th, and I'm a little, I guess you can say, nervous to turn 33. I'm like, damn, 33? What the heck, right? But whether I like it or not, time is marching on, moving on. Like, the days, the hours, the minutes pass by, and I can use my energy and my time stressing, worrying, feeling, getting caught up in the past and thinking about and getting caught up in the future where I am or where I'm not. Or I can just be and embody and really take in all that I am and all the experiences that made me who I am and all that I am to be, because this is just a very, very powerful time to be all that you are. Ashe? And spirit is really supporting this. Spirit is supporting this. So this is about evolution, right? And this is why I'm even talking about like the beginning and the end, and seeing the cycle, seeing like the new world, seeing like truly, that infinity sign, like seeing that the middle part of the infinity sign, though, seeing how it all comes together, because we're at this coming together, but it's expanding now because we are on the one cycle, but we're going to be moving into the two, we're going to move into the three, we're going to keep moving, and we're going to gain more information. This, I also want to go back to that integrating, right? Because we've been through a really, like I said, like COVID was big. That is not something light work, and we can talk about it like like, oh, that was, no, it's still big, and it has a lot of causes and effects as of today. However, what it did was the integration process, and what we've integrated with, what we've synced with, what we partnered with, right? Like a Bluetooth, right? And these things are wireless connections. But if you actually have the eyes to see, you can see all the many wires, all the many things. See, Gemini is also in, and I want to highlight Gemini. Remember, I said the air sign, so we're going to highlight Gemini. And Gemini is in Cancer too. So Gemini is being affected. Remember, in Mercury, I said Gemini is in Cancer too. I meant to say Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is in Cancer too. Okay, Ashe? The ruler of Gemini, Mercury, is in Cancer too. And it's in retrograde. So Geminis are having an effect. Okay, they're experiencing effects. Communication is experiencing effects, and this is why the spiritual communicate. This is actually a good, like, sometimes Mercury retrograde is seen as like a disruption, right? You don't really want to make decisions or send emails. You'll have disruptions, delays, things like that. But these are spiritual disruptions and delays. Like, this is not where you'd be like, this is like very like intentional times. Like, spirit is communicating with you, you're communicating with spirit. You understand and know the delays that are taking place because you understand how it works. You have the application, like, you know how to utilize yourself. Like, when you embody, you are the true user, and you know how to operate the controls, right? You move your controller. You know how to move and operate this being, this person, right? Kind of like The Sims. Like, you become really the ruler, right? This is a time like you become the ruler. Very, very powerful times, right? And if you don't, believe me, consult with your ancestors, okay? Because they're going to let you know, and you're going to recognize this more even through, like, as I'm saying, embodiment. It's like your potential, reaching your potential. You're going to crave to reach your potential, to reach your highest potential, right? To go further, to pick, because you know that there's always room for progress. So it's like you can get sharper and sharper and sharper. And those are, and it feels good to want to do this, right? It's like some people that love to work out, they're like gym rats. Okay, so there could also be some restrictions, but this restriction I feel like could be on your energy. For me, I feel like I'm in this kind of like, fuck you and fuck everybody. Like, I don't want to give my energy away. I'm working hard to learn how to not only call my energy back, but harness my energy and hold my energy and utilize my energy for the highest, which is for thyself, right? And not thyself being in a selfish way, but the nurturing way that I have to give myself life sustaining like treatment, right? Which is godly treatment, life sustaining treatment, like to really enforce, bring in the force, inner force, right? And to hold and to give myself that power, that strength, and to honor it so much that I don't want to just give it up and give it out. Because a lot of times we have that habit. We've been a service, we've been workers, we've been slaves, we've been, right? And we have a habit of giving out our energy, giving out our energy. But now that we're understanding our energy, our force, and our power, we're recognizing how much work it actually takes to call it back, hold it, harness it, embody it, right? And then now you value it and you honor it so much that you you are aware and you're conscious of what and how you're giving it out. And so this is like how I said, for me, I'm in that kind of like fuck you, because if you are not in alignment, in agreement, and with me, because this is about harmony, right? This is about harmony. And I really want to emphasize this new beginning. Like, this is a new beginning. I can't do what I did back then. I am a new. I am a new. I am a new. That's the affirmation, okay? I am a new. Ashe? So we're really emphasizing this new beginning, and this is a new beginning where you can't turn back around and go back into the past. The door is closed, the time is out, okay? The wall, the barrier, the restriction is there, and either you're going to be stuck there, which will be your imprisonment, or you're going to move into your freedom, which is move into the new being embodiment, and you're going to gain your energy, your power, your life source, your life sustaining godly, treatment, right? Treatment, like treatment. I say, like, this is, and I say treatment like health, wealth, the treatment. You understand? It goes really, really deep. This is really deep. This is not surface level work, okay? But you got to truly understand. And like I said, if you resonate, you resonate. If you don't, let it go. Uh, okay, so going back to your emotions and going back to your feelings. Because some of you guys, okay, feel that in order to sustain that life sustaining treatment, it's almost like you have to like not feel. I have to turn off my feelings. I can't really feel. I can't really, in order not to do what I used to do. Because if I do, because the reason why you do what you used to do is because of how you feel about it, right? So gaining more control of your feelings, but not tuning them out to where you just act like you don't have feelings, right? Or trying to put on a facade. No, you do feel it. And it's okay to feel it. It's okay to show your emotions, even if your emotions are just happiness. Like, I'm happy to be in this new space, and I'm sorry that maybe not everybody is there to celebrate, or everybody couldn't come along to be a part in that way, shape, or form, but you're here, right? And it's a blessing. So to celebrate that, to celebrate these changes, yes, I confirm to be in not only celebration, but just like gratitude, to really take in who's around you now, whether it's children, whether it's the women, just like your community, your support, whether you feel unsupported or you feel like you don't have a lot of people, you just have maybe one somebody, really taking in and appreciate their time being with you here now, the exchange, right? The engagement that you have, right? I'm telling you, even if it's one somebody, I really want you to be grateful. Like, it's like when you're in church and they say, look to your neighbor, just being grateful that you have a neighbor to look to. Okay, and being mindful that the neighbor that you're placed with, whether you're there to be an example or whether you're there to gain from them and to learn some lessons, whether you're there to gather hands and be a stronger force and a stronger barrier, to right, to be a warrior. Warriors gather. Like, whatever your neighbor, whatever you look to your neighbor, and you and your neighbor, you're that joining, that partnership knows that collective, because remember, you're an individual, a part of a collective. So when you look to that collective side, and there's a left and a right, and there's an up and a down, so really look at all of your connections. Look at your spiritual, earthly, materialized connections, and just really being grateful for each body, each embodiment that is there for you. If I were to recommend anything right now, I would say to utilize your herbs, speak to your herbs, do a lot of herbal work. This could be in the form of just teas, maybe even like a tea party, something like that, or some type of get together, some type of herbal session maybe, or something like that. But yeah, it's a lot of like connections here. This is not a time to be talking about individual or I'm by myself. Like I said, even if it's one somebody, they say if two or more are gathered, so one somebody plus thyself makes two, and that is a reason to celebrate, right? And be grateful for that partnership, for that connection. in closing in closing we give thanks for anything else that needs to come out here tonight. If you have any questions, is there anything you want to share, please don't hesitate to send me a message. If you're interested in a private reading, feel free to DM me. Okay, I love private one-on-ones. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm open to questions. I send you love on this new moon. You guys still hear me flipping because I'm seeing what it is before we close, and it says the nights are long without you. So there could be somebody missing you, and maybe that's what makes it challenging, because you can't go back. That door is closed. It's no longer open. You're in a new time. You're in a new phase, and no, it's not easy, but I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going. It says there is no greater love than yours. So again, this miss could really be a yearn. And I actually was listening to somebody that reminded that, when you get like a thought of somebody and that person comes across your mind and you like, damn, why are they on my mind? Sometimes it's because they're thinking of you, and they are channeling you, they are summoning you. So when you think that they're coming across your mind, be mindful of the fact that you might just be on theirs, and they might be working to tap in and pull you into their frequency. Remember how we talked about that air element and the channels, when you are able to tune into those volumes and be able to move through, and gain that communication and that access and things. Yes, it gets really deep, as I said, right? So if you have any questions, please let me know. It's been a pleasure tuning in and tapping in with you tonight. I hope you guys rest well. Peace and love, and I will talk to you again soon.